Welcome to this channel, A Swede Travels. In this channel I will document my travels around the world, and I will give you some tips and insights on different places. What to see, what to think about, what to do, and so on. Today I want to talk about my stay in Kyiv, capital of Ukraine. Before we get started, I want to ask you to check out my other channel, A Swede Speaks, where I comment on news and politics. I also want to thank all of my financial supporters. This is my day job. Without you, this channel would not be possible. I also want to ask you to check out my website, swedespeaks.com, and to follow me on BitChute. There are links in the box below, and you know, better safe than sorry, so make sure to follow me there. I mean it, it's really important. So, as I said, I stayed in Kyiv, Ukraine for a while. I arrived in Kyiv in early June and stayed until the middle of July. Then I went to Poltava, a smaller town located a 4-hour train ride from Kyiv. But today I want to focus on Kyiv. I will show you some pictures from Kyiv, and I will give some advice on this European metropolis. Because make no mistake, Kyiv is a European metropolis. Officially, Kyiv has 2.7 million inhabitants, but in reality it has 4 million people. The city is huge, and even though I was there for 6 weeks, I only get to see small parts of it. Kyiv is definitely a city that I want to visit again. Kyiv is over 1,000 years old. According to some historians, the city was founded 482 AD. Others say that the city was founded in the 9th century. At any rate, it is a really old and really large city. In the city center we have the Independence Square, Maidan, and around there we have the tall statue of Bogdan Khmelnytsky, a Ukrainian who led an uprising in the 17th century against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, which was the realm that the area belonged to back then. In 1654, Khmelnytsky concluded the Treaty of Pereyaslav with the Russian Empire, thus allying the state with Russia. At Independence Square we also have this magnificent statue. I think of it as an independence monument, but to be honest, I'm not 100% sure, so any viewers from Ukraine, feel free to inform me. Before we continue, I also want to say that I adore the Ukrainian people. All the people that I interacted with in Ukraine were wonderful. Keep in mind that not everyone in Ukraine, even in Kyiv, speaks English. People working in downtown restaurants, bars, cafes, hotels, they often speak at least some English. However, do not expect the staff in grocery stores to speak English. They usually do not. For Western travelers, prices in Kyiv are great, and this includes prices for groceries. You will be surprised by how long your money will last. A good place to shop is a grocery store chain called Billa. Although Cyrillic letters are used in Ukraine, many places have their names in Latin letters. Also, another word of advice, make sure to have cash. In Ukraine, cash really is king, and far from everyone accepts cards. This includes hotels and residences. The Ukrainian currency is called the hryvnia, and $1 is slightly less than 25 hryvnias. Thus, $4 is somewhat less than 100 hryvnias. The word for ATM is bankomat, a word that you might want to remember if you need to ask around. Please note that pretty much all the ATMs will charge you a fee to deduct cash from it. Look for the ATMs with the smallest fee. During 3 months in Ukraine, I did not find any ATM without a fee. The ATMs called Rafaysen were the most reasonable ones that I found. They charged me 50 hryvnia, slightly more than $2 to deduct cash, no matter how much cash I deducted. However, most ATMs have a limit of how much cash they will let you deduct at once. The amount varies from 2,000 to 8,000 hryvnias in my experience. One ATM that you want to avoid is Euronet. They formally do not charge you a fee, instead they just give you a really bad rate. Unless you decide to let your bank do the conversion from hryvnia to your own currency, which you should always do, by the way. In that case they will hit you with a fee of 300 hryvnias, which is almost $12. Actually it's slightly more than $12. So stay away from Euronet, in Kyiv and elsewhere. Euronet are banned in Amsterdam, by the way, but not in Kyiv. While in Kyiv I noticed an interesting phenomenon. For some reason, people plant roses in tires. I also saw plants being planted in tires, and I saw at least one tire being firmly grounded. I only saw this phenomenon in Kyiv. I did not see it in Poltava, and I have no idea how this phenomenon came about or what it stands for. So any viewers from Kyiv, feel free to inform me about this custom. As I said, Kyiv is an old city, and in a restaurant called Amigos in the area of Podil in Kyiv, I came across this Viking helmet. Sure, as a history geek, I know that the Vikings did not really wear horns on their helmets, but I understood the reference, because yes, the Vikings were there too, and the Viking chieftain Rurik, who probably came from today's Sweden, founded a principality known as Kiev Rus. His dynasty went on to rule different principalities and grand duchies in today's Ukraine, Belarus and Russia for hundreds of years. The last Russian ruler of his dynasty was Ivan the Terrible, Emperor of Russia. Anyway, I strongly recommend the Amigos restaurant in Podil, Kyiv. They have a Latin theme, although they had Ukrainian food too. I ate the Ukrainian pork barbecue, which was just delicious. The place is both a restaurant and a pub, and I recommend it to anyone visiting Kyiv. Podil is a short trip from the city center. While traveling in Kyiv, you can use either the local metro system or you can use Uber. A metro ticket is 8 hryvnias, the equivalency of 33 US cents, although Uber is also relatively inexpensive. I used Uber a lot while in Kyiv. Something that you should try while in Kyiv or while in Ukraine is borscht. I had borscht at a different restaurant about 5 miles from the city center, and the food was delicious. Although, keep in mind that there is a lot of water in that dish. Your stomach might react to it. In the Podil area of Kyiv, just a few miles from the city center, there is also a wonderful fish restaurant. Sadly, I didn't write down his name, although I had several meals there. The staff was very friendly and they all spoke English. The prices were also relatively decent. The fish restaurant, which also serves other sorts of food, is located in the main street of Podil. I spent most of my time in Kyiv in Podil, and that's a very nice area. It is also filled with Eastern Orthodox churches, as you can see on these pictures. And you know, I am amazed at the beauty of these churches and how they were able to survive through Soviet oppression. As you may know, Ukraine suffered a lot under Soviet oppression, including a famine created by the Soviet Union to punish Ukrainian farmers for not complying with their Soviet overlords. So, although I'm not Orthodox, but rather an evangelical Christian, the Ukrainians, Orthodox and others, have my deepest respect and sympathy. And I need to mention once more that Ukrainians are a friendly people. At least they were friendly to me. To conclude, I recommend a visit to Kyiv and to Ukraine to anyone. Just remember that far from everyone speaks English, although young people working in restaurants and hotels often do, and that cash really is king. You will not be able to just pay by card in Ukraine. Also remember to be polite and respectful to the locals. Kyiv attracts some tourism, but is still one of the least expensive tourist destinations in Europe. There are a lot of things to do in Kyiv, and I have not yet done all of them, so I will need to return to Kyiv in the future. And to the people of Kyiv I say, thank you for your hospitality and see you again. So what do you think? Have you been to Kyiv? Are you going to Kyiv? Comment below, and if you like this video, I'd really appreciate any donations. Even $1 makes a difference. If everyone who watched this channel gave $1, it would transform this channel. Just take a look at the links below, but if you really can't financially support this channel, I would be very grateful if you would share a link to at this point to this video, or if you're watching later to one of your favorite videos from this channel on your social media, because ad revenue also helps. Also, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Most importantly, please pray for this channel. Also, go ahead and follow A Swede Speaks, where I comment on the news and on politics. Until next time, have a nice day, thank you for watching, and God bless.